So I was recently asked by a friend how to set up a React app from scratch in Visual Studio Code. And a lot of times what people do is they'll do just the install create React app. And that kind of sets everything up, but you get a lot of stuff that comes with it that you don't really need, and you end up having to delete a bunch of junk. So I'm just going to show you how to set it up from scratch. This is how I do it. I'm sure there's other ways, but this has kind of been the simplest, most straightforward way to get what you need, and then you just install stuff as you need it. So let's first start with creating a new terminal. So we've opened Visual Studio Code. We're going to open a new terminal here. And we are going to get into our folders and create a new folder. So when you're in the terminal, to figure out where you are, you just type ls, enter, or return. And you can kind of see these are this is our file structure. And I'm going to go into projects. So I'm going to type cd projects. And just a little tip is if you start typing something like pro and then just hit the tab, it fills in the rest. So now we hit return and we are inside that folder. Just to make sure, let's hit ls. Okay, we are inside that folder. So let's go and create a new folder inside here. To create a new folder, you're going to make a directory. So mkdir space, and then you're going to type in the folder name that you want. This would be sample React app from scratch. And now we can type ls again just to make sure that it did create that. And here we have this new folder. So I want to go inside that folder. So we're going to change directory, cd sample, and I'm just going to hit tab, and there we go. It creates the rest. Hit return, and now you can tell that you're inside that folder right here. Let's make sure there's nothing in there. We'll type ls. Yes, we're inside, and there's no other files inside of it. So now we are going to create our project. Well, let's just call this is our project folder. So now we're going to create the rest of our content for our React app. So now I'm going to type npm init-y. Let's see, so now we have a package.json file here. So now we are going to create our src folder and our public, and then we're going to create the files inside of it, and then we're going to get into actually making those files. So start with making your public and src directories or folders. So mkdir, make directory. So we're going to make the public one, and we're going to make the src. So now you could do this one at a time also. So make directory public, and then we can hit ls, and it created that, and then we're going to do and then hit ls here, and we can see that it created both our public and our src file, and we have our package.json now. So you can also, mkdir and type public and then space src, and you could type new folder and make all these folders all at once. But I just wanted to show you that you can do it one at a time also, depending on what you need. So now we're going to create a file. So to create a file, like an HTML document or a CSS, a JS file, instead of mkdir, which is for folders, you're going to use touch. So touch is creating, and then you type in the folder name. So, but here's the thing. We are currently in, let's hit ls, we are currently in our main folder, and we need to create files within these. So you could change directory and go into each one of these. The issue is then you got to change back, and it's just more typing. So what I like to do is I'm going to touch, and I'll do in the public folder. So I'll say public / then I name it index.html. So now, and I can create multiple files at the same time. So let's do another one in public / style. So this will be my style sheet. And let's create one in the src folder at the same time. So src / index package.js. That'll be our JS file. And then you just hit return. And let's hit ls. So see, none of those files were created in here. They were actually created in our public file. So let's just check to make sure. So let's check the public. So cd public. We hit ls, and here we go. It did create the index.html and the style CSS. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find these files, and I'm going to open the folder. And here we have our package.json, our style, and our index, and here. So we just want to open this main folder here. We're going to click open, and now you can see in Visual Studio Code it gives us our file structure along the side here. All right, so we're going to create a terminal window, and now we're going to just start adding stuff to our files here. So I like to start with the index.html file, and you just do your basic, your basic document. So doc type HTML, and we're going to do a HTML. And VS Code has some short codes for us. So you just hit doc, and it fills in most of this for us, and we're going to change it to sample react app build from scratch. Okay. So great, hit save. We have our index.html. Now what you want to do is you need we're going to pull from our HTML here. So we're going to create a div, and we are going to give this an ID. So most people do like root, here. I think that's what the create React app does. I just name it app, but you can call it whatever you want. So now we're going to go into the style CSS, and I like to just add something, so I can make sure that it's imported and working. So I'll do like, select everything, and I'll give it a border. Let's see, I'll give it like a border, like 1 pix solid red, and that'll just help me make sure that everything's working. You just come back later and comment it out. Okay, so we need to import our style sheet. And I noticed I had a typo here, so we could just leave it like that, but I like to switch it to styles. So we'll do style CSS, and we are just going to right click on that file, click rename style CSS, hit return, and we should be good to go because we need to finish it off here. So this should be good. Let's just create something here. We'll just do like I like to create little tests. So we'll put an H1 tag here. Testing HTML file. Okay, we're gonna hit save, and we'll get back and test all this stuff shortly. So to start your React app, let's just make sure we're in the right folder. Okay, so you're gonna hit npm start, but let's go to our package.json here, and we're gonna see that we don't have any of these scripts in here. So we're gonna have to actually type them in. So I don't need this, so we're gonna do start React. So you need your double quotes. React scripts start, and then we're gonna create a build, which we don't need yet, but I just like to do it because I tend to forget stuff. We got a typo here, so make sure you put your comma. And we're going to create our build script. So build double quotes, and then double quotes again, React scripts space build. And you don't want a comma after this. If you put a comma here, it doesn't work. So we're going to hit save. And now we should be able to hit npm start. So we get a bunch of errors. Well, it's because we didn't install our React scripts, our React DOM, any of that. So we're going to go down here and let's just hit ls again, make sure we're in the correct folder, because it's important to do, because it really stinks to install it, one file, one folder up, and then it messes with everything and you don't realize it till later. So we're going to hit npm I, or you could write it out npm install, but npm I is the short way. npm I react, so we're installing react DOM, so we're installing that separately. So see how we put a space, react, and react DOM, then another space, react scripts. I'm going to hit return and let this install here. So I've heard when you install React scripts, it'll actually put these start and build files, but for some reason a lot of times it doesn't do it. So I'm not sure why, but it does take a while to install all this stuff. Great. So now we're all installed, and we can see here dependencies. You got React, and you got the version, React DOM, React scripts. So it worked. Hit save, always do, just as a habit. So now we're going to try to start it. npm start. So see, that's our start. So npm start. This should run it, and we're going to get a prompt. We're unable to detect target browser, and you're just going to hit Y for yes. Great. So after we hit Y, we can see that it did work. So we'll go to our index.html, and we have our sample React from scratch, and we have our style that should give it a red box around it. So we can see that everything's working. So I'm going to comment out this now, hit save, and you'll see that the boxes go away. And you can comment this out too, or delete it. I like to just comment the things out and leave it for now, because when there's glitches, I like to be able to come back and debug and make sure okay, these things are still connecting, nothing got messed up. So anyway, so I commented it out, and now there's nothing here. So the next part is getting into our index.js file, which is in src folder. So we're going to click index.js file. Let's just clean up some of this here. So now if you want to get into testing, like using jest and things like that, you can install it and set it up in your package.json, but we just want to get the basic React app going here. So now we're in our index.js file in the src folder, and we are going to import React from, and single quotes or double quotes, React. Then we're going to import React DOM, and you'll see why in a minute, from React DOM, which, remember we installed these things earlier. So now we are going to create the React DOM. And we're going to do so we're going to do a couple things. We are going to create an app. Well, we're going to create an app component, and we are going to get the document element by ID. So this is basically importing, if you recall, in our index.js file, we named it app. You could call it root if you want, if you're more comfortable with that. So we're going to get it by the ID root. Okay, and then we're going to hit save. And then we are going to create an app component. So in your src folder, we're going to create a new folder. So you could do this in the terminal if you'd like. To open a new terminal, you just hit the plus sign here. Okay, so if you are running the npm start script over here, you can't create anything. It doesn't do anything. So you need to open a new terminal window if you'd like to do that, and you can hit ls. You can see here we are in our file structure. We're going to go into the src. So cd src. You hit ls, and you can make sure that we're inside there. So in VS Studio Code, you can also just create up here. So click on the folder here, and then you can just create a new file or a new folder here just by clicking this and name it that way. But just in case you're not in VS Studio Code, let's just do it through the terminal. So we're going to make a new folder, mkdir, and we're going to call it components. Components, and hit return. Okay, and then let's create a file inside of it called our app.js file. So let's do touch components / app with a capital A, app.js. Okay, and then we should also just create a CSS file for it also, I like to do. So we're going to touch app components / app.css. Hit that. Okay, so now if you just click on the folder structure here, you can see that we've got it all open. We've got it all created. Pretty cool, we're almost there. So we need to import this here, the app, so this component, and we're going to do that like so. So import curly brackets app, remember, with a capital A, and we're going to import that from /components. Hit save. And module could not find /components. So it's because we haven't actually created anything in here. So we are going to import React from React. This is pretty much what you have to do for every component. Import, we're not using it right now, but let's just import it so we don't forget, the CSS file. And then now we are going to create an app component. So you basically create, I'm creating this. You should know how to create, use React. This isn't a React tutorial. It's just kind of how to set it up from scratch. And so again, I like to create little tests just to make sure that the things are working. So this is a test in the app.js file. Okay, so this looks good. Sorry. I like to create a div here that keeps everything inside, just for styling purposes for later. So now you need to export default app. All right, so now we're going to create a file in your components that's basically going to export all our components. It's just easier to manage this way. You can set it up the way you like, but I'm going to do it here. So we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call it index.js inside the component. And here we're going to export default as app from ./app. And basically every component that we create in here, so let's say we create like a time component that is going to display the time, we're going to create a time file in here, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to export default as time from ./time. And then you would create, similar to how we did this, you basically create a time file, and every component you create is going to be exported, from here. And so when we want to import everything, you could just import it like import app, and then time, and you could import all your components like that. But we wouldn't do it in this folder, but just as an example. So okay, we can launch our localhost 3000 here, and we can see that this is a test in the app.js file. So where's our app.js file? So this is a test in our app.js file. So it is showing up. And if we want to test this out to make sure that this is working, we're going to refresh it. And so we have our test in our HTML file, we have our test in our app.js file, and we can see that everything's kind of networking here. So cool. Let's get rid of this. Structure-wise, the way I do it is we have our app, and this is really where we're going to import all of our different components. So the app then gets rendered to the DOM along with our HTML style sheet. So it just, that's kind of the structure. So now maybe let's just create a component here just so you can see how we're going to do it. So let's create, what should we create? Let's create a time, let's do the time component. That's an easy thing. So we're going to create time.js. We're going to import React. And we're probably going to, we're going to use state and use effect from React. And then we're going to create our component. And then we are inside our component. We're going to have to return something. And let's just do a little, what do we do? Let's create a div. And we're going to give this ID time. And then let's create another h1 test in here. Test inside time.js. And this is, again, so that we can make sure that everything's rendering. Don't forget to export. So, and you can export and import directly from this component. Like you could go into the app.js and we could import directly from here. But as you start getting a lot more components, it's easier to create this index file and just export and import to just export directly from here. So we've already created this. Good. Let's see, we're exporting time. So now we need to go into our app.js file and we need to actually import those components. So we're going to import time from ./. So you could do ./index.js, meaning it's, importing it from here, but really you just need to you just need a dot slash, and it will find the index file, and that's where it'll bring it in from. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually display the component. Let's hit save, and here we go. Test inside time.js. So we do have something here. And you can just go on and keep doing the same thing for creating new components. And you're just basically going to structure them in here. So we have a time. Let's say we have, like, we create a contact form. And I like to just structure all my components, my main components, in the app. And when you're in contact form, you might have different components inside that are imported, and it gets stacked, so on. But this is like my main, the top of the pyramid. And especially when you're like handling state with React hooks, you need to know that, like, the app file, that is our main app where all the components are kind of compiled together. So thanks for watching. If you would like more information, more tutorials and how-tos, please subscribe.